Atlanta lost to the Mariners last night, and that was easily the most frustrating loss of the season so far. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today, a production of the Belief Podcast Network and presented to you by FanDuel. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby. You can find all my written work, bravestoday.com, as Braves Today is both a podcast and a newsletter. I want to talk about that loss last night, and we're probably going to spend most of this episode talking about that loss. Raisel Iglesias does come back today, so we'll discuss in the third segment what I think needs to happen as far as a roster move. And then probably about 2 hours after the show comes out, they're going to officially announce the roster move. And we'll undoubtedly be wrong because that's how this always works. But let's talk about the loss. Braves dropped this one 5-4 to the Mariners. And I think the most frustrating part of this was it felt like the offense was good enough to win, but there was just some unforced errors. And really, the first time that Walt Weiss has stumbled as manager of the Atlanta Braves. And the moment that I'm going to point to, and we talked about this last night on Today's Three Things, by the way, if you are an avid podcast listener, but don't read the newsletter, after every game, we put out an article called Today's Three Things, where we talk about the player of the game, we talk about what you'll be talking about, the big overarching talking point from the game, and the turning point. And for this one, the turning point ended up being the sixth inning. J.R. Ritchie is through 5 and has not allowed a run. It is 5 scoreless innings. But just like Ian Anderson had a no-hitter going through 5 innings in World Series Game 3 in 2021, and it didn't feel like it was a no-hitter, this did not feel like a scoreless outing and like he was cruising, because he wasn't. Ritchie was not nearly in the zone enough last night. And so because of that, there was a lot of traffic on the base paths, and he was having to kind of do some Houdini escapes to get out of things. And let's actually back up a little bit, okay? Because I think if you back up, you can kind of illustrate what should have happened versus what actually did happen. So we get to the 5th inning, and J.R. Ritchie very quickly, like, it looks like he's going to cruise. He gets 2 consecutive groundouts. He gets Cole Young. He busts him with a bunch of, like, fastballs and cutters. And then after he swings through a curveball, Ritchie goes to a changeup. And the location's not great. It's kind of middle. But because of the velocity difference between some of the other pitches and that, he gets the ground out. He then turns around and he gets Mitch Garver to ground out. He gets him a sinker. It's like thigh high, outer third, and he grounds out to short. He kind of pulls it over to short. And then he pulls a Charlie Morton, and he hits Leo Rivas on the back foot with a curveball. And the problem here is that was the bottom of the order, right? That was where you were supposed to cruise. So J.P. Crawford comes up, leadoff hitter, and works a 7-pitch walk. And to Ritchie's credit, he's getting some chase here. The first pitch is a strike on a changeup below the zone. Crawford fouls off a curveball inside later in the at-bat. He fouls off a curveball that just clips the bottom of the zone. Like, Ritchie's staying out of the zone here. And we'll talk in a minute whether or not this was intentional or accidental. But he walks him. 2-1. Okay. And then, against Julio Rodriguez, 4 straight pitches, another walk. Everything's away. Nothing. Like, there was a cutter that was close to the zone, close to being dotted up and away. And if Atlanta had challenges, maybe they challenge that and get that call. 4 straight pitches to Julio. Bases are now loaded with 2 outs. And he gets the ground out. Josh Naylor grounds out to first, which I feel like all Josh Naylor did last night was ground out to first. He just hit balls to Matt Olson all night. Grounds out to first, gets out of it. Okay, fine. That happens. 5 scoreless innings. Great. Atlanta, to open the 6th inning, goes nuts. Ozzie homers. Olsen homers. So back-to-back home runs. After a line out by Dubon, Austin Riley homers. You've put up 3 runs. 6 guys come to the plate. 3 of them are outs. 3 of them are home runs. Atlanta's now leading 4-0. I think mistake number 1, correction, was back up. Sending Ritchie back out there for the 6th inning was not the mistake. A lot of people are saying you should have 5 and dived Ritchie. I understand how they couldn't do that. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. We can do it now. It's my show. Who cares? Because of Spencer Strider's short start and because of how much the bullpen had to work on Sunday, they're trying to get a little more out of Ritchie. They're trying to see, can they get anything in the 6th inning? It's a defensible argument. But after you saw 2 walks and a hit by pitch in the 5th, which gave Ritchie 4 walks on the game, you needed to have somebody up. So you get to the 6th inning, Randy Arozarena, 4-pitch walk. All 3 of the 4 are up and in. The first one's a sinker that almost hits him on the chest. 2, 3, and 4 are all up. None of them are that close to the zone. Bat doesn't come off his shoulder. 4-pitch walk. Then Dominic Canzone gets a grooved fastball for a strike. And then 4 pitches that are, 2 of them are vaguely near the zone, but another non-competitive walk. The mistake here by Walt Weiss is not having somebody ready to either come in after Randy's 4-pitch walk or come in after Canzone's 5-pitch walk. And you can see that this is kind of the moment where things get a little hairy for them, right? Tyler Kinley starts getting up and throwing in the pen. They come out, they do a mound visit to buy some time, right? They're trying to get through, give Kinley time to get ready so that Ritchie doesn't have to go much longer because it kind of feels like he doesn't have it. Luke Raley, 1-1 pitch. It's a center cut curveball, and he launches it to right center. 3-run homer. It's now 4-3. This is the first time that we've really seen Walt Weiss make a mistake when it came to when to go get his starting pitcher or when to go get his reliever. And the argument, I think, here, again, a lot of people are saying you really need to pull Ritchie after the 5th. I can buy the whole idea of we're going to send him back out for the 6th, but you got to have somebody ready. And the first sign of trouble, which a 4-pitch walk is a sign of trouble, you got to go take him. You got to go pull him out. They don't do it. So it's now 4-3. Kenley comes in, gets a strikeout of Cole Young. Kenley very clearly looks to be not ready. He does not look like he is ready. 4-pitch strikeout of Cole Young. None of these pitches are in the zone. The first one is a slider at the very top of the zone that is touching. Kenley throws 3 sliders above the strike zone to open the Cole Young at-bat. I've talked about elevated breaking balls on this show. I don't think that's where they were supposed to be. Now, one was a called strike, one was fouled off, and then Young strikes out on a curveball in the dirt. But Kenley did not look ready. He then walks Mitch Garver on 4 pitches, 2 fastballs, 2 sliders, can't find the zone there. He then gets a strikeout of Leo Rivas, and it's a 4-pitch strikeout. 3 of them are in the zone. He's finally kind of gotten settled again, right? He's thrown enough pitches now where he feels like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm hot and ready to go. And then J.P. Crawford works a 7-pitch at-bat and gets a slider down and in. Really nice placement on a 3-2 pitch. But Crawford goes down and gets it home run. It's now 5-4 Seattle. I'm not blaming Kenley for the homer. Your relievers are not going to be perfect. But it should never have gotten to the situation where a Kenley homer loses you the lead. And we can criticize J.R. Ritchie all we want. And I do think something that's been missed in his first couple starts, and I've tried to like dance around it. I've not been aggressive enough with it, so part of that's on me, is he's really been walking a fine line. After this start, his ERA is 3.63. His expected ERA is 5.13. His fielding independent pitching is 6.89. He's really not been getting the whiffs that you need to see, and that's something that I've been talking about since spring training, right? Again, I don't think he's bad. I think he's going to be a very good pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. I do think you run into situations if he was sequencing the heck out of everything last night, and some of that's Sean Murphy. But when he doesn't necessarily have the zone, and he can't reliably get guys to put the sinker and the changeup on the ground, he's going to run into trouble because his stuff is not good enough to consistently get whiffs. Can he get there? Yes, he absolutely can get there. And there will be times when he will look very, very good in that regard. But he had 11 whiffs last night on 37 swings. And it was all kind of spread out. 4 on the changeup, 3 on the curveball, 1 on the four-seamer, 2 on the sinker. But the stuff is not there yet. And so this is the risk that you run with J.R. Ritchie. His sequencing, his composure, usually his locations are good enough to be a starting pitcher. But you're going to have situations like this. I still think you should stay up. I still think you should make more starts. But I think we need to not think of J.R. Ritchie as a 2.80 or 3 ERA guy right now. We should probably think of J.R. Ritchie as a number 5 starter. Expect number 5 starter outings out of J.R. Ritchie. And it wasn't bad last night. 5+ innings, 3 runs. You will take that. But the way that it unfolded, I think, could have been avoided. And ultimately, Atlanta ended up losing that game. It could have been worse because Aaron Bummer came in and really kind of struggled. We'll talk about that next, right here on Braves Today. Hey, Braves fans, if you've ever dreamt of going on the ultimate baseball road trip, this one's for you. Grand Slam Getaways offers bucket list baseball bus trips designed for fans who love the game and want to travel in style. All trips depart from Atlanta and include field-level tickets, 3-star hotels, daily breakfast, a full slate of ballparks, and other activities. Each trip includes at least 2 Braves road games, plus appearances by former MLB players, giveaways, and fun side trips to places like the Louisville Slugger Museum, Bull Durham filming locations, and more. Whether you're retired, a baseball nut, or looking for a parent-child summer adventure, this is a stress-free way to hit the road with fellow fans. There are 2 remaining trips to choose from this year, June to the Midwest and July to the Northeast, all timed up to match up with some Braves road games. So reserve your spot now with a small deposit. Head to grandslam-getaways.com to make this summer a grand slam. Check it out now, grandslam-getaways.com, and let the baseball adventure begin. This game was a frustrating 5-4 loss. It could have been a lot worse. And you saw this start to spiral a little bit in subsequent innings once Aaron Bummer came in the game, and I want to talk about that. But before we do that, let's compliment sandwich this, right? The offense last night. I have not seen a team just absolutely take it to Logan Gilbert like the Atlanta Braves did. So Gilbert's outing in and of itself was not terrible. He gives up 4 runs on 6 hits and 2 walks in 6 innings with 4 strikeouts. But the way it unfolded, it felt like it could have been 10 runs. Atlanta was just absolutely ripping baseballs against Logan Gilbert. He allowed 19 batted balls. So 19 balls put into play last night. 11 of them were over 100 miles an hour. 8. You good, Bandit? 8 of Atlanta's 9 starters had a hard hit ball. Jorge Mateo was the only one that didn't. And each of the top 5 guys in the order had either 2 or 3. Right? Dubon and Riley had 3 each, and Baldwin, Olsen, and Albies had 2 each. What ultimately doomed the Braves offensively in this one was, one, the batted ball luck, and luck, random variance, whatever you want to call it. We'll get that in a second. And the lack of walks, right? Atlanta draws only 2 walks. So early in the game, they are ripping baseballs, and they're not really getting a much return out of it, right? When you look at a lot of their batted balls, Drake Baldwin leads off with a home run. So greatest leadoff hitter in baseball history, obviously. Did a Ronald impression. But after that, 100-mile-an-hour line out, 97-mile-an-hour line out, 105 single, 107 double play, 108 put out. Jorge Mateo, 71-mile-an-hour single, but then 98-mile-an-hour fly out, 102 line out. They're just destroying baseballs and not getting the results here. Drake Baldwin had 106-mile-an-hour fly out. And then they start to convert these. And this is kind of what we talk about every time I mention the random variance, or I call it luck, and some people push back against it and complain. But this is that batted ball luck. When you hit a baseball 95 miles an hour or harder in Major League Baseball in 2026, it is a hit 48% of the time. The league slugging on hard hit balls is a 924. Now, some of these balls were on the ground, right? Sean Murphy ripped one, but it was a ground ball, so it was a double play. When you can hit hard hit fly balls, those things have a slug of 1521. And so when you see people, and I complained about this in the past, when you see people say, stop trying to hit the ball so hard and just try to hit it where they ain't, that is not how this works. Most MLB hitters cannot reasonably aim their batted balls any more so than a specific direction of the field. And you see this, Mauricio Dubon does this a lot, Drake Baldwin does this sometimes, I'm going to shorten the swing up a little bit, and I'm going to shoot this the other way. That is something a major league hitter can aim to do. But they have very little control over whether that ball is over the first baseman's head, that ball was between first and second, whatever it might be, right? It is very hard for them to, or I guess with Dubon, it's the other way. It's very hard for them to specifically say exactly where that ball is going to be. They can just say, I'm going to hit it the other way. So hitting the ball hard is the best way to do this. Ted Williams talked about that. He wrote a book about hitting the ball hard in the air. This is established baseball rules, established baseball process. It's not an analytics thing. We can just quantify now how good that is. And so Atlanta's just ripping these baseballs. They finally get the home runs to drop. Again, you had 3 homers in that inning from Ozzie, Olsen, and Riley. But they were all solos. And this is one of those games that if you were to replay this 10 times with the exact same personnel, call it a computer simulation, whatever, Atlanta's going to win more than they lose. Because they had all of those hard hit balls. A lot of them, especially early, didn't fall for hits. And then the Braves realized, if I just hit it over the fence, they can't make a defensive play. Because Leo Rivas was making a ton of great defensive plays at third base. They were getting to these balls and making outs. And it was kind of Herculean effort, especially when you consider the crossover we did with Mariners Mojo. Their defense hasn't been that good this year, but they were converting a lot of these. And so, other than the low walk total, I feel really good about where the offense was yesterday. They struck out 8 times as a team. 2 of those were in the 9th to Andres Munoz, which I think I'm saying his name right, Munoz. Anyway, but it was kind of lower down in the order. Michael Harris as a pinch hitter struck out. Eli White was called out on strikes, really frustratingly, on an 0-2 pitch, just a slider way too close to the zone to take 0-2. What also didn't help is Atlanta had no challenges because Sean Murphy blew them in the first inning. Both of them trying to help out J.R. Ritchie, but still. But for the most part, they didn't strike out a ton. They had a lot of quality contact. It's a high variance strategy. right? And I'll say that with Tim Hires, the strategy feels like it's the ceiling's maybe a little bit lower, but the floor is higher. This really felt like a Kevin Seitzer game. This really felt like a Kevin Seitzer coached offense trying to just crush baseballs all the time. And when it works, you're putting up 10 runs. This could have been a 10-run game for Atlanta. Instead, they got 4 because they hit 4 home runs, but they were all solo shots. So, frustrating how the offense went, but it is really nice to see that kind of performance. And so, when you look at the lineup configuration now, against the first time against a righty without Ronald Acuna Jr., you just kind of bumped a bunch of people up. Drake Baldwin goes from 2-1, so he's leading off. He had that home run in the first inning. Ozzie always goes from 3-2, and Matt Olson's batting third. I don't hate it. The choice to go with Mauricio Dubon at cleanup, I was a little confused when it happened. It didn't feel like that was the best place to put him, but he was swinging the bat well. And again, he had 3 hard hit balls last night. So it's hard to argue that he didn't, at least in the game, have the profile of a cleanup hitter. He had 3 hard hit balls, all lineouts, expected ERAs of 3.10, 6.40, and 7.40. It's sustainable process that is going to result more often than not in base hits and extra base hits, driving in runs, and all that stuff. I don't necessarily think I want Mauricio Dubon to be my full-time lead cleanup hitter, but for the night, it worked. The real kind of, I'm not going to call it a weakness in the lineup, the real kind of struggle, Sean Murphy goes 0 for 3. He strikes out twice. Again, I already mentioned the blown challenge. The batted ball that he did have was 107 miles an hour. It was a ground into double play. And even that, expected batting average of 570. That play's not always converted. So, process good, results not. That is sometimes what happens in situations like this. But all in all, I was really impressed with the offense against a pitcher that has not been the best this year in Logan Gilbert. His ERA is now 4.30. But this is a dude with a career 3.60 ERA and he hasn't had an ERA over 3.70 in a full season since 2021. He's been a very good pitcher in his career. Was really impressed with him, with the stuff, with all of that. And good performance by Atlanta. Again, didn't work out in the win. At a certain point in time, you kind of have to acknowledge that, hey, the process was good. You're not going to win them all, but good effort. Not great effort, Aaron Bummer. We have to get rid of somebody to bring back Raisel Iglesias today, and it needs to be Bummer. We'll talk about that next, right here on Braves Today. But first, this episode brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all of their products and flavors. You get 9 IQ bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean label certified and entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMO, and artificial ingredients. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. And their Ultimate Sampler Pack includes all 3. And right now, IQ Bar is offering Braves Today listeners 20% off of all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text MLB to 64000. That's MLB to 64000. That's MLB to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. A lot of people have already been here. I want to acknowledge up front that I am probably, as is usual, a little bit late to be where I am on this, but it has become untenable to carry Aaron Bummer as a member of this bullpen anymore. And again, I know a lot of people were already there. I am behind a lot of folks when it comes to what do we do with Aaron Bummer. But here's the situation. Okay. So Aaron Bummer comes in for the 7th inning. And we find out after the game there's a bunch of guys down as a result of the short Strider start. It is what it is. But Bummer comes in the bottom of the 7th. First hitter he sees, sinker in the dirt, and then he leaves a belt-high sinker inner third to Josh Naylor, who does not get robbed by Matt Olson this time. He rips it at a 108 to Eli White for a double. Down the line, over Olson's head. 89-mile-an-hour sinker from Aaron Bummer. I've talked about this before. The lower your arm angle is, the more extension you're getting, and those balls can play up a little bit. But it's still not a ton in Bummer's case. He's averaging 90.7 miles an hour on his four-seamers this year, and the perceived velocity is like 91 and change. On his sinkers, he's actually averaging 90.1, and the perceived's only like 90.6 because he's just inherently not a good extension guy. If you have good extension and then you're sidearming and getting even more, it plays up more. But it's ripped at 108. Then Randy Arozarena comes in. He gets a curveball inner third, gives it a ride to left, but it's ultimately caught by Mike Yastrzemski. And then Rob Refsnyder gets a ground ball to left. He gets it through the left side, but it's a curveball at 79 miles an hour that's hanging thigh high, middle of the zone. He then walks Connor Joe. 2 strikes early. He dots a sinker low and in, and then a curveball just below that Joe swings through, and then 4 consecutive balls. And I'm not even kidding when I tell you that if you go to game day and you pull up the at-bat, for the 4 balls, pitches 3 through 6, only one of them shows up on the entire picture that you get. You know how it has the little red dots for the strikes and the green dots for the balls? And the view is zoomed a little bit, but you see the box, you see the hitter, a little bit of space above the hitter's head and out and into the other batter's box and everything. Of the 4 balls thrown to Connor Joe, one of them even shows up on the screen. Just the most no idea where it's going of any at-bat for the Braves this year. Or any at-bat for the Braves this year. He then gets Cole Young to strike out, and to his credit, 2 sinkers, 2 sweepers. He gets a swinging strike in the zone. He gets a called strike on the black of the sinker, and then he goes to sweepers away, and Young's just chasing balls that are almost in the other batter's box. Strikeout. He does great there. And then he gets the line, and then they go from Aaron Bummer to Carlos Carrasco. Because at this point, you've now had the bases loaded with 1 out, and you get the second out. But they were like, yeah, we've seen enough. They go to Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco gets the line out. If you're having to be rescued by Carlos Carrasco in 2026, you're struggling. And when you look at Aaron Bummer and you look at what he's doing, what he's throwing, and his stuff, it is a dire picture. Aaron Bummer is averaging 90.2 miles an hour on his fastballs this year. What's frustrating about this is as recently as 4 years ago, which was 4 years ago, mind you, he was throwing 97. He was throwing 97. The quality of his stuff has consistently degraded from when he was throwing 95 with the sinker and 97 with the four-seamer to he's throwing 90.1 with the sinker and 90.7 with the four-seamer. The stuff has degraded. And as going along with the stuff degrading has been the quality of the contact's been getting worse and worse. He's still doing well at getting ground balls, 87th percentile, 53.8%. But even that is down from where he used to be. He was 94th percentile last year. He was 98th percentile and at 61.3% in 2024. There was a lot of red on that StatCast card back in 2024. He had an actual 358. The expected ERA was 279. The exit velo was low. The barrel rate was literally 100th percentile. If I remember right, I think he gave up 2 barrels all year. He's now at the point we are at May 5th, and he's already given up more home runs this year than he gave up in all of 2025. He gave up 3 last year. He's already given up 4 this year. Some of this is sample size stuff, right? Some of this is just, when you are a reliever and you get got once or twice, it can skew your numbers. Andres Munoz has an ERA of 5.79. You heard him say on the broadcast last night, a lot of that is because of one bad outing. That's the thing with relievers. At a certain point, if you get blown up, your numbers are screwed the rest of the year. You just have to pitch out of it. You just have to keep pitching and do your best to bring it to something respectable. It's got to be a frustrating way to live if you're like on an arbitration. You're going through arbitration every year. It's got to be a frustrating way to live, knowing that, oh yeah, now they can argue this against me, and I've got to spend 2 months trying to avoid a second blow up so I don't carry a 5 into an arbitration hearing where the team's going to argue that I'm not very good so they can pay me less. I hate the arbitration system. It's so dumb. I'd rather do something different, but whatever. And it's not just like the velocities that are concerning for Aaron Bummer. When you look at the overall, like what it does to his pitch shapes and everything. When Atlanta got him, his stuff plus was a 114. And that was even down from his high of 125 with the White Sox. His stuff has degraded where now it is barely league average. Which, if he's a starter, okay, not a huge deal. But as a reliever, and really your second leverage lefty, it's a problem. Like, it is legitimately a problem that he is so bad. And for the first time, he's never been a great guy on locations, but for the first time, his overall pitching plus score, which is stuff plus location adjustments and everything, has gone from above average, so over 100, to below average at 95. The slider still reads as a plus pitch on stuff plus at 105. The curveball is a 107, but like that cutter's an 89, which breaks my heart. The fastball is barely hanging in there at 100, and I've been told that's going to tick down a little bit once they finish processing everything. So he's gone from an asset and a guy that was a smart grab by AA via trade because he was not being utilized correctly and was a breakout candidate to being a liability. And he's owed $9.5 million this year. But you have to pay him $9.5 million no matter what. And I guess technically not no matter what. If somebody claims him off waivers, then they take on the rest of his deal, right? Which they won't, right? They will not claim him off of waivers. But there has to be a roster move made for Raisel Iglesias today to bring him back. And I'm worried that they'll send Carlos Carrasco. They'll DFA him again. Or that they'll option down Didier Fuentes. And I could buy the argument on Fuentes. I was excited when they started using him in leverage a little bit. But he threw 8 pitches on Sunday. And it was his second appearance in 3 days. And he was down yesterday. Is he down because he pitched twice in 3 days during the Colorado series? Or is he down because he can't do a back-to-back? If he can't do a back-to-back, then I'm starting to think that as much as I want him at the major league level, in the pen, working with Jeremy Hefner and all that stuff, if he can't come back from throwing 8 pitches and pitch on a second straight day, I'm beginning to question how sustainable it is to keep him in the pen when you have a impromptu bullpen outing like you did on Sunday, an impromptu bullpen game. If it's because he threw 15 pitches on Friday and 8 on Sunday and they wanted to give him a day off, okay. I still don't love it. It's 23 pitches over 3 days, but I understand in that situation. And we just don't know. We don't know why Didier Fuentes was down. Maybe he slept wrong. It could be something different. Martin Perez was also down, and apparently Martin Perez was down because they were planning on, or they're preparing to possibly have him make a start either today or tomorrow. Don't really know what that's about. We don't have any sort of word as to why he would need to either pitch for Elder tonight or Holmes tomorrow. So all we can do is speculate. We can speculate that, they want Holmes to move to the pen, or they want Holmes to push back to LA so that they don't have to throw Strider against LA. Right now, it would line up Sale on Friday, Strider on Saturday, Ritchie on Sunday. Maybe they use Martin Perez on Wednesday so that Holmes pushes to Friday, Sale pushes to Saturday, and then Sunday they can do Elder on regular rest, maybe. It's a whole week off for Strider, but if Elder pitches on Tuesday, regular rest is Sunday. Maybe that's the adjustment they're going to make. We don't know. It's a little bit concerning if that is the case and they think, the Strider can't compete against LA. I know it's LA and it's not an easy team to play, but we have questions right now. I still think that a little bit of perspective is important. This team is still 25-11. They are the best team in baseball by win-loss record, by run differential at plus 80. I think the Yankees are at plus 76. By runs scored, the Braves are the only team have scored 200 or more runs. LA's at 183. The Yankees are at 192. The Cubs are at 190. They've had a huge offensive surge recently. So by a lot of the common metrics here, the Braves are the best team in baseball. And let's not lose sight of that. But at the same time, there are some things that are still unsettled, right? The state of lefty relief for the team is still a little bit unsettled behind Dylan Lee. Dylan Dodd, I put this out on social media yesterday. I think yesterday or maybe it was during Sunday's game. Dylan Dodd started a rehab assignment with AAA tonight on the road. We don't know how many starts he'll need before he'll be activated. We don't know if he's going to be called up when he is ready, or if he's going to go back to Gwinnett. He does have options. He could be optioned down to Gwinnett. We just don't necessarily know. It was thoracic spine inflammation, which sounds terrifying, but really isn't. The hard part about this with Dylan Dodd is since he became a reliever, he has been better against righties than lefties. So as a lefty against righties, 16.5% strikeout rate, 5.1% walk rate. Against lefties, his ERA is a run and a half higher. His strikeout rate is lower. His walk rate is higher. Sorry, his ERA is a run and a half higher. Yeah. Strikeout rate is lower. Walk rate is higher. So he doesn't profile as the guy that can replace Aaron Bummer as the second lefty reliever because he doesn't do the job of what a lefty reliever would be. Now, against lefties, he does have a ground ball rate over 50% as a reliever. And against righties, it's like 42%. So if you're trying to recreate the ground ball nature against lefties of Aaron Bummer, that's a thing you can do. But just performance in general against lefties, Dylan Dodd doesn't give you that. But right now, Aaron Bummer's not giving you that. So at a certain point, you just need to make the move. You're spending the $9.5 million either way unless somebody claims them off waivers, and they won't. So make the move. Tonight's matchup is another fun one. Bryce Elder versus George Kirby. We're going to do the scouting report this afternoon. It's always live on YouTube. I've been trying to get better about putting it on the audio feed as well. If you're an audio person and you either like it or don't like it, let me know. I'm on social media at Crosby Baseball. But another late night game, 9:40, and we'll be back to break down that game, the roster move for Iglesias, whatever else happens tomorrow on Braves Today. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time on Braves Today.